And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
All right, it is the Weighing In podcast, and I think I'm going to be part of this podcast because this has been a son of a bitch up to this point. I am pissed off. I am tired of all this internet crap. I am having difficulties, and Josh Thompson might take over at any moment because we have really screwed this up all the way through because we started recording, but we really didn't because Podcast Dave didn't record, which was good if you're me. It's bad if you're Josh. I don't know what to say. I got so many stories and I got things to talk about. We're going to have fun in Japan. Trust me.
We got about, I don't know, we've got about 10 minutes in and we realized, you know what? We're not recording any of this.
No wonder the freaking stress of dealing with John's.
Okay.
Stress of dealing with me?
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Let me. Well, let's pick up where we left off from last week's show. Did you ever find the cow and the baby cow, the cow and the baby cow?
The cows have been found. The cows have been found.
Okay.
The
Are they
question
back home?
is,
Are they back in the corral?
No, they are not.
No.
Dude, and here, no. It's like this cow knew something.
John's laughing at himself right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're talking that cow traveled about 3 miles, okay, down a creek to another farm where cows go into heat about every month for about 18 hours, 20 hours at most, done. But when they do, they want a bull. Well, mama cow decided, I'm tired. I have had this baby on me, and it's about time I got some. So they can smell other bulls. That's what she did. She broke through the fence, got down a creek, went down the creek about 3 miles, and got laid.
Oh, man.
So now,
man.
Josh, I still have my 2 cows there. Those 2 cows. I have other ones too. But mama cow, when she finally does come back, because mama cow did not want to leave when we found her, did not want to leave the bull. That bull had fun. And even the owner of the bull is like, oh, she's pregnant. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
He was all over it. So now I have 2 cows that are actually 3 cows because mama is pregnant. And I swear to God, I was so pissed I was going to make mama a hamburger, and now I can't.
I'm gonna have to silence that whole segment and make it exclusive to OnlyFans because that was some pretty raunchy stuff there.
Oh, man.
Dude.
This is great. This is great.
She actually, you talk about working it out because it was like, I was going to separate her and her calf, which is now close to 8-9 months. It's about the time you wean them off and you start having feed. So I was going to separate them and put, the baby off with 2 others. And then just like, we might get rid of, Patty, as I call her, hamburger Patty. And it was like she knew. And it was like, oh, that ain't happening. Here, I'm going to make sure it's not happening. Well, she's right. It's not happening. So,
man.
Tried to go pick her up. The owner goes, I've never seen a cow stick to a bull. We can't get her. She's running through things, right? And I'm like, all right, look, we're going to take care of this when I get back. So I will have a cow back when in Japan.
You're saying Patty's a hoe.
Patty is a serious hoe. Patty is just, she smelled that Bobo. Bobo is the bull. I just want you to know, everyone knows who the father is. The father is Bobo. Bobo the bull. And Bobo's a big son bitch.
Oh, man.
Just for the clarifies the lengths women will go to manipulate men.
Boy, I tell you what, man. I had to apologize to the other farmers. I said, man, I apologize that my cow came in and molested your bull.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well,
so
at least Patty got laid. That's a good thing.
Patty got laid. Patty's happy. Patty's pregnant.
It all out. Oh, man, that's going to be great. It's going to be great. I can't wait to meet. What are we going to call Bobo's son?
It depends. Depends if it's a boy or girl.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
we'll put a thing out there for someone to come up with the best name.
Patty 2. It'll be Patty number 2.
No, I don't want Patty 2.
No,
Quarter,
you don't want
quarter,
Patty 2.
quarter pounder. Quarter pounder.
Quarter pounder. Yep. Quarter pounder might be
good.
right. Oh,
was
man.
Big
good.
Mac.
John, man, we outside of the baby cow and the mother cow and then getting laid, all these things. But we got a lot of news to talk about this week. We got a lot of fights coming up this weekend. Got Bellator over in Japan. You and I leave tomorrow morning bright and early. And then we also have UFC 291, Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. And then you've got Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. It's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a good card. This main card, it seems pretty stacked. Seems like it should be pretty action packed. The prelims kind of trickle out a little bit, but there's a couple fights on the prelims that we'll chat about, but not all of them. But yeah, this should be some good action, I think, on this card. The good thing about with the Japan card is only the Bellator card is only 5 fights.
Oh,
so those 5 fights, yeah, that's it. The rest of the Rizin card on there is the other fights. So just
but
the
Juan
Bellator card is only
Archuleta
5
is
fights.
fighting. Juan Archuleta is fighting for the Rizin bantamweight title against was it Uga Kubo? I think.
I don't want to murder someone's name. I gotta see it. we got blasted for murdering everyone's names last show. So
Yeah, well, trust me.
but
try doing those names.
you know what? Let's get right into the UFC 291 main event. Let's go. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje, buddy. Go ahead.
Dude, you talk about a great, first time. It was a phenomenal fight. And Justin Gaethje was doing great in that fight. He was eating up Dustin Poirier's legs, giving him a lot of problems. Dustin Poirier was having moments where, the straight punches he was throwing was getting there faster than the looping shots of Gaethje at times. And it really, both of them showed big balls. We were just talking about cows and bulls. Well, they just showed big balls in that fight. And it was just a matter of, Dustin's power. Dustin's got good power. He really does. He's got snap on his shots, and he just got to Justin before Justin was able to get to him, because it was just a war of attrition for both. Who was going to be the one that was going to get that shot that was going to do the damage first? Because the kicks on both parts, I think you're going to see both guys trying to adjust. I think you're going to see Justin doing what he did with Fiziev in trying to say, I'm not going to accept as much damage as I allowed to have happen. And I think Dustin Poirier is going to do the same thing. He's going to take away, especially those inside leg kicks that he was getting blasted with. It was doing a lot of damage to him. It's taking away his base. It's taking away his foundation. You can't have that, because then the power does diminish, and you're throwing shots, but they're just not having the effect. So I think both guys are going to adjust on it. But Josh, in the end, both guys are dogs. Both guys are just savages that, you know what? Eventually, they're both going to bite down and just throw and go after it. And one of them is going to end up hurting the other, and that's going to be your winner. It's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 fight. 100% it is. The tendency is to obviously go with the guy who won the first fight, because just mentally they feel like I've already won. I've already have a win against you. The adjustments you make, you're not going to change that much. But that's where my argument will lie, is that Justin Gaethje has changed a lot since that first fight.
Especially
He is a
in
more
his last
patient
fight.
fighter. Yeah,
Especially
his last couple
fight.
fights. His last couple fights, he's been very patient. Who was his last fight? Justin, or it was Fiziev, and then it was Chandler before that, right?
Yeah, but see, the Chandler fight, I'm going to give it this. I thought Justin fought. That's right. He fought he fought Chandler, then Charles, and lost.
Yeah.
But you take a look at that. The Fiziev fight is the one that you can really look at, because Fiziev's stand up and the way that he goes after fighters, that leads you into that, oh, I'm going to bite down and throw back. And many times when that opportunity was there, Justin circled out. Justin reset. Justin came back at him. And I think that was one of the differences of why he won the fight. He just fought a much smarter fight.
Well, I go back to the Chandler fight. That's where I went back to, because he started fighting smart in that fight. He was able to touch Chandler whenever he wanted, and when he did, he didn't go chasing after it. Because Chandler is one of those guys that I expected the two of them to meet in the middle and just stand and bang. And that's not what happened.
Oh,
they did a little bit, but
they did.
No, Justin.
And,
no,
oh
no,
my
they
God.
did. You can
Go
say
ahead.
they did, but when I look back at that fight though, Justin made the adjustments of throwing, stepping off line a little bit, and then re-throwing again, not standing directly in front of him. When he fought Dustin the first time, he stood directly in front of him and just traded. That's not what he did in the Chandler fight. We started to see the evolution of Justin in the Chandler fight. That was like kind of the first fight. I felt like he understood he had to make the adjustments. And then understanding that like he lost to Charles, coming back and getting his win against Fiziev, he fought a great fight, an even better version of this new Justin than he did in the Chandler fight. The Charles fight just didn't go his way. Once he got taken down, or once his back got taken, I mean, you're dealing with the best submission guy in the UFC at the time, or still now. So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, look, he made a mistake. That's what cost him the fight, but look, then he went on to fight Fiziev. He fought a very smart fight. He's got a better version of when he fought Michael Chandler. And I look at what's going to happen in this fight. I think he's going to land the big shots, create a little angle, and then maybe start to throw again. Whereas before, he would stand directly in front of you. You go back to the Eddie Alvarez fight. He rocked Eddie, and then he let Eddie hang on his head. And then Eddie then knee him to the body, then knee him to the face, and then uppercut him. Those are all things that happen to you when you're standing directly in front of someone and making it a dogfight toe-to-toe. And I don't think he's going to do that this time. I think he's going to create angles. I think if he does get clipped with something, he's going to take a step back and circle out. I don't think he's going to just bite down on his mouthpiece and get after it. There's too much at stake. Like he said in his last fight, in his post-fight interview, he said, I'm going to make one more run at the title. And I don't have much left in me. So that lets you know that he understands how important this is to get to that title again.
But there's one element you're missing in this, and this is the difference in this fight when I look at it. I love Justin Gaethje. He is the human highlight reel. He is absolutely exceptional to watch as far as what he brings to the cage and his tenacity and the way he goes after a fight. But I want you to tell me, name the last 3 fights that he's lost. Charles Oliveira, he lost, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And the one before that?
Habib.
Okay. And now both of those.
He lost to Habib before that, and then he lost to.
Both of those. How did he lose?
Uh-huh.
Come on. Submission.
By submission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dustin Poirier is a good submission fighter. Dustin Poirier is good on the ground. And if you're Dustin Poirier, you can go and look back and say, why am I going to sit here and try to outdo someone in this realm? I'll do the same thing I did with, Chandler, to the point, given the opportunity, I'm going to go after putting him on his back, and I'm going to go after putting a submission on him. That's where I see that we have a big difference in who we are. If you're Dustin Poirier, you got to look and say, I'm way better on the ground than Justin Gaethje. He's got wrestling, but it's not the wrestling that when he was a kid. He's a different person now, and he's a stand-up fighter. Now he can defensively, stop a lot of wrestling maneuvers. But when he hits the ground, let's be honest, Josh, he's not the same fighter. And when you take a look at the person he's fighting, Dustin Poirier many times has proven, hey, I'll go to the submission game, and he's got good submissions. Dustin almost submitted Habib. I'm not saying Habib was going to tap, but I'll tell you what, he did a lot to get himself out of a guillotine that was on and tight. And if he can do that to Habib, he can definitely do that to Justin.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't see Justin's head being down there. Habib's head's down there trying to get takedowns. I understand. I get what you're saying. I do agree with you that Dustin is the better grappler.
I think Dustin's going to look for the takedowns.
I don't think Dustin's the better wrestler.
He's not the better wrestler, but it's not wrestling. It's MMA. And there's differences in what, how many times have you seen guys that are phenomenal wrestlers that get taken down by guys who couldn't wrestle at all as far as comparative, and they get the takedown?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I don't see this fight really going to the ground a whole lot. I can see Dustin maybe threatening it here and there. I don't see this fight going to the ground a whole lot. I think that Justin's going to make it this is what I really believe. There was I watched a little bit of the 24/7 on the fight, and I think Justin's been working a little bit on his wrestling. There was a lot of segments in there where he was focused on talking about his past in wrestling, talking about how he came up as a wrestler. I feel like he understands, look, the times that he's fought for the title, it's because he got his back taken or because he got taken down and just dominated and then gave his back. Like or gave up a triangle or whatever it was. He gave up positions by losing on the ground. I think that if he's going to make this last run, like he's talked about, I think he understands that he needs to go back to the drawing board and reinvent this last run. If you want to reinvent this last run, you need to spend more time with your back against the wall. You need to spend more time with your back on the canvas. You need to spend more time, stepping in the center there of the mat and then learning how to defend takedowns in open mat. And I think I really believe that he has that goal. Look, when he came from the World Series of Fighting, I was like, man, this kid's tough. I don't think he's going to be good though. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to get to that next level. And then, after his fight with Michael Johnson, I'm like, damn, I knew you were tough, but then, then I saw him progress, and I just saw like he could just take damage. He could deliver a lot of damage. And I was like, but then I also came out publicly and I said some stuff on Twitter. I go, look, I love watching this kid fight. He's fun. You can tell he's got a good heart. I recall a lot of things that Dana White had said. He goes, look, a lot of fighters call me when it's their title shot and say, I need tickets for these people. I need tickets for these people. And I need rooms for these people. And they start demanding shit when they get their title shot. He's like, all Justin did was demand. He's like, could you please just make sure my parents are there? Mm-hmm. Like, that lets you know where his priorities are. That lets you know that he's a good kid. That lets you know that he understands what's important in his life. And I think when he said, I'm going to make one more run at the title and just let's see what happens, I think he reevaluated everything he's done in his career, saying, look, I don't have much time. So I'm going to go back to the wrestling. I'm going to go back to the jiu-jitsu. I'm going to go back to doing all these things that I knew where I've come up short and make those adjustments. I believe in him, man. I believe he's a good kid. I believe that he's got a lot to offer the sport. I understand what you're saying, but I think you're going to see a lot smarter. Like we said when we started this conversation, John, it's a 50-50 fight. Even if there is takedowns, even if there is wrestling, even if there is all these things, this is a 50-50 fight no matter what. So both of them have to be on their A game. If one guy is off by 2 or 3%, it's over. The other guy's going to win. That's just how it's going to go. Because there was moments in that fight where Dustin was hurt with the inside leg kicks. He was hurt on the feet. There was moments in that fight. And then at the end, it was Dustin who came out on top. But man, it was back and forth. I think we're going to see a smarter, more calculated Justin. It's going to give, I think, Dustin even more problems in this fight. I don't think it's going to be a barn burner like everyone thinks. I think it's going to be a lot more calculated. There will be some exchanges in there, but I just feel like Justin's going to fight a lot smarter, and it's going to be as a little bit slower paced fight. It won't be like the first fight. Either way, I think it's still going to be a great fight.
I look at it. I do think it's going to be a really good fight. I think there's going to be a lot of adjustments, like we were talking about, from the first fight. And I think one of the adjustments is, I think you will see Dustin Poirier looking for a takedown. It's called being a smart fighter. And if there's one thing that Dustin has proven, he is a smart fighter. So he's got good coaches. They break things down. They know. And why are you not going to always look for the path of least resistance in getting that win? That's part of what your job is, Yep. But everything you said about Justin Gaethje is absolutely correct. He's a class act. He's a tough son of a bitch. He goes to fucking put on a show every time, and every time he does it. So it's a great fight. I love it.
Yeah. I got to be honest, man. I really admire both these guys. They both have always carried themselves with class. They've always been very respectful as much as they possibly could towards their opponents until their opponents been disrespectful to them. And when you get around them, they've got great personalities. They're great people. They'll engage with fans. They'll engage with other people around them. That's just they are the highlight of the sport, in terms of what the sport should be representing. And they deserve all the clout they get because they're two of the best fighters in the world, and they have been a mainstay for a long time. It's actually nice to talk about two top-level 55-pounders who have been around for a long time, and they're fighting in the toughest weight class in the whole sport. And I'm going to continue to say that as long as I possibly can. Okay? Don't get me wrong. The bantamweights, I think, are right there, maybe slightly ahead of them right now. But these guys have been mainstays in the toughest weight class in the sport for the last decade. So good for them, and I'm looking forward to it. Next fight.
Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira. That's a great fight. I think, here comes the one thing, if you're going to talk about, is there a possible negative in it? There's always a possible negative. And the one that I'm going to, the one that stands out the most for me is, has it arrived? Is this the time that Jan Blachowicz really has slowed down to the point where he's getting hit with things that he didn't get hit with before, because he's fighting a striker that is absolutely, we can talk about the Polish power. Alex Pereira's got power. He's got a left hook from hell. I always go with Paul Daly. He's got the best left hook I ever saw in MMA. And if you watch all of the knockouts that Paul Daly's had, he has been phenomenal with that left hook. But Alex Pereira's left hook is pretty goddamn good too. So Blachowicz is going to be facing a guy that can definitely strike with him. This is another one. I take a look and say, look, you want to get the win, go back to what you did with Izzy. And that would be your road to victory, because if you can take him down, you take him out of his skill set, you put yourself out of the real danger of this guy, and you make the fight a reasonable fight for you to win. If you try to keep this on the feet, I'm not sure that you're going to walk away with the win.
Yeah. There's a couple of different ways I could look at this fight. Like you said, he's got a big left hook. And as I recall, I'm trying to remember the guy click on Jan Blachowicz. Who was the guy that knocked him out right before a couple fights back, probably like 4 or 5 fights back, maybe longer than that. I believe it was a left hook that really just fucking sat him right to his face. Jan Blachowicz. Yeah, scroll down so I can see. So Glover had rocked him a little bit in that fight as well, but there was another one further down. Santos. There you go. Yeah, so Santos hit him with a big shot also. Yep, hit him with a big shot. And if I look at Alex Pereira, he's got the ability to do the same, very similar. He's going to wait for Jan to kind of press forward a little bit, hit him with the big left hook, hit him with the shot that puts him face down. Jan was kind of reaching and coming in, and Thiago was the faster fighter, got there first. And I look at Alex. The only thing that concerns me a little bit with Alex is that I think he's got better takedown defense than we realize. He just hasn't had to utilize it yet, because the UFC on his run to the 185-pound title really didn't give him a lot of guys that were threatening the takedowns. They understood what was important. It was most important to get him to the Izzy fight so they can make their money on that fight.
Sure.
It was smart on their part. Absolutely smart. If you're a promoter, they understood what they were doing and what their goal was. Now for him to go up to 205, where he's not killing himself to make the weight, my only concern with him is that he is very hittable. Now, does he look just that hittable because Izzy is so damn fast? Because I know Jan's not that fast. It's definitely not as fast as Izzy. But Izzy was able to crack him a couple times. But Alex leaves his hands like almost at chest level, sometimes lower than that when he fights. And he does get hit. He does get clipped. And as much as Jan likes to talk about his Polish power, it's there though. He's got it. He's got the power. And Alex going up in weight, will he be able to take a better shot because he isn't cutting as much weight? Will he be a little bit more sturdy and stronger? We're going to all find out all these. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered in this fight. Is his takedown ability as good as people talk about? Glover said no, he's got good takedown. Is he able to get back up after he does get taken down? Because we saw Izzy wasn't able to get back up from underneath Jan. In terms of to the point where he could win him the fight. But can he continue to do it over and over? Does Jan have the cardio to keep taking him down for 5 rounds? No, maybe this will be a 3 round. Sorry, I was thinking it was for the title, of course.
No.
But you have Alex with the power. Alex is just as big, if not a little bit bigger than Jan. There's a lot of things. The submission threat, how much is it really there? Does he have good submission defense? Like I said, there's tons of questions, John, that need to be answered in this fight. And we're going to find out, because Jan, I think, is going to try to do what he did to Izzy. He's going to try to take him down, try to control him, and work for a submission. If not, try to ground and pound him out, all of those things. But we have to remember, every round starts on the feet.
Yeah, it does. But it's a matter of, Jan has got his hands full, because he has to get the takedown. I don't care if you can sit there and compare all you want. If you go back and you watch Jan, even before he got to the UFC, when he was at KSW, he used to take people down all the time. He used a lot of ground and pound. He used a lot of control. And it worked for him. He was a fantastic fighter at KSW. That's why the UFC signed him. And then he had some struggles as he kind of changed because let's just be honest. There's times when with the UFC, they want you to be that spectacular knockout guy because that sells. And he wants to, be that guy. He wants to make them happy and kind of was switching over to it. Speed is going to be a big difference in this fight. Jan Blachowicz is not as fast as Alex Pereira. And that's going to be a problem for him if he doesn't get the fight to the ground.
Well, we were just talking about the wrestling. You're saying how he used to wrestle a lot more in KSW, but let's be honest. As you get older, the last thing we want to do is fucking wrestle. The last thing we want to do is be in camp, getting takedowns all the time. At 40, he's 40 what? 40 or 41 years old. I'm not trying to take people down, man. I'm trying to make this thing as easy as possible. I might try one or two as an attempt, but I don't really see. That's why I say I can see Jan working for a takedown. I don't know if he makes it his full main focus, especially if Alex stuffs one or two. So we'll see, though. I guess we're going to see. That's why we fight the fight, correct?
That's it.
All right, and our next fight that we're going to talk about is Stephen Thompson and Michelle Pereira. Look, John, we're having a little bit of some internet problems, so we keep dropping off and picking back up. But guess what? We're getting it figured out. This is the clearest you've looked in the last 6 months. So the wrinkles are gone, buddy. I can see you. You're beautiful again.
Dude, wrinkles, obviously it's not clear because the wrinkles have not gone anywhere. They're only deepening.
What do you think of this fight there, John?
I think it's a great matchup. It's a question of they're both highly skilled, and we talk ad nauseum about Stephen Thompson and how good he is in the stand-up and the way he attacks the fights. Pereira is that guy that you look at. He started off, when I first started watching him fight, people were all crazy about him because, he's doing backflips and all these crazy maneuvers inside of the cage. And you go, yeah, but that's not good for fighting. And, some of the things he's doing, look, that's illegal. And he's just not getting called on it because some dumbass referee doesn't understand it. But you look and he has really centered himself, brought himself out of those situations, has become, not quite as entertaining as far as the acrobatics, but he's become a much better fighter.
Yeah, I feel like he's become smarter. He's become smarter in there. He understands. He's almost taking a little bit of the road of the Justin Gaethje, like we were talking about. Just learning that, hey, I can be entertaining, but I'm never going to get to the title if I keep doing it this way. Exactly.
And that's the real question is you take a look at him now and you go, look, he's got a ton of skill. First off, for 170, he's huge. Huge.
Big. Okay.
He's got speed. He's got strength. He does have a good gas tank when he's not doing stupid things as far as, anytime you're going to be doing backflips and jumping off of the cage consistently and doing all these spinning attacks, you're just burning gas. You're like a dragster at the drag strip. They don't have big gas tanks and they go a very short distance. And you've become that. He has really changed that approach. And in fighting someone like Stephen Thompson, I think he knows, hey, I've got to really be smart in the way I approach this. I don't think it's going to go to the ground much. I don't think Michelle Pereira has got that real takedown ability to get Stephen Thompson to the ground. Obviously, he can hit him and hurt him and put him down if that happened that way. But wrestling-wise or takedown-wise, Stephen Thompson has fought very good takedown people that have not been able to put him on his back. Obviously, he's slowing down a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and not say that Stephen Thompson hasn't slowed down a notch. He has, but he's also changed up what he does to a point, and he's adjusted based upon that. And as an offensive fighter, you're not going to find a whole lot of people that offensively is better than Stephen Thompson in the stand-up. Maybe doesn't have the biggest one-punch power, but man, we're talking about volume of attack and a guy that just puts them on you till you fold. I look at this as a fantastic matchup as far as styles. I think Pereira is the younger, obviously I think bigger, stronger fighter and got a ton of skills, but he's going up against what we call the KG veteran and a guy that's got a ton of skill and technique sitting there on the side too. So great matchup.
Well, I'm like a dragster too. I'm very fast in short distances. Just ask my wife. I'm very fast in short distances.
That's a whole different rule set. That's what my cow was doing in the pasture.
Stephen Thompson is what he has over Michel Pereira is he's got the fight IQ. It doesn't matter in terms of sure, Pereira is actually getting better. He's becoming smarter in the way he approaches the game, but he leaves himself out of position a lot. He leaves himself out of position, and Stephen Thompson is one of the best counter strikers in the game. He's very accurate with his strikes. He's fast. He does throw things. He is slowing down a little bit, but he does throw things straight. It's a straight line from his chin to that person's face. And those ones always get there faster. That makes you feel like you're faster. Make it seem like you're the faster fighter when you're throwing something straight to the target. And he maybe doesn't have the one crunch knockout power, but his accuracy and his movement and the way he can hit you with the straight jab and then a little bit of the straight left and then also switch it and follow it up with a kick and hides it behind everything makes you dangerous because it's not the one punch that always has to get you. It's the accumulation of punches, 1, 2, 3, right after each other, along mixed and hit up with the kick. He does a great job of doing that. I think he'll also use that side kick quite a bit to keep Pereira off of him and crushing the space because he doesn't want to have that monster of a body just hanging on him against the fence and trying to drown that energy and soak all the energy out of him, especially as this fight goes on in the second and third round. Stephen Thompson is very smart when it comes to his fight IQ. He's very smart in keeping his back off the fence. He's good at keeping that wide stance, utilizing that back foot kind of inside that black line to the fence. He has a good understanding of where the cage is and where the fence is and where that black line is. Okay, this is where I can go and this is where I've got to get out of. And I've got to be honest. I look at Stephen Thompson. I'm waiting for that day that he eventually, just slows down to the point where guys are just touching him too much. But it hasn't come yet because, you and I got on here one day and I was saying, hey, man, Kevin Holland's the faster fighter. Kevin Holland's this. Kevin Holland's that. Well, guess what? Kevin Holland made me look like an asshole. Stephen Thompson went out there and got the job done. He was the faster fighter. He was more accurate. And I get it. Kevin Holland didn't fight a smart fight. But Stephen Thompson just fought great fight IQ, great performance, did what he had to do to get the win. I look at Pereira. He's got to get this fight to the ground. If he doesn't get it to the ground, I think he's going to be target practice. I think early in the fight, it'll be a little bit of back and forth. Stephen Thompson's going to pick and choose his shots, try not to get hit with the big shot. But as the fight goes on by the end of the first, into the beginning of the second round, I look at Stephen Thompson. He's just going to be too much for him. I'm not saying there's going to be a finish because Pereira can take a big shot, but I look at Stephen just being the more of the technician.
Yeah, I agree with you. The big difference here, if there was one thing that I really enjoyed and loved in reffing Stephen Thompson's fights was his timing. And it's something that a lot of people don't understand. You don't have to have that real length when you have timing. Your timing and the way that when you come in and the way that you come in and the way that you exit, it's all based on that timing. And if there's one thing that Stephen Thompson has, he has that ability. He understands it and he uses timing very well. So it's going to be a tough fight for Pereira. He can beat anybody, especially at 170, but he's got a big task ahead of him with Thompson, I think.
John, these are two guys that are coming up next at a big fight that I actually am really excited to see, and two guys that I lost to. And I know a lot of you guys, when I talk about my fight, I just saw a bunch of comments. Oh, Gil Melendez this, Gil Melendez that. And then everyone's like, oh, Josh can't stop talking about Nate Diaz. Well, guess what? I'm talking about two guys that I've got two losses to. I've got one to Bobby Green. I got one to Tony Ferguson. And I can't say enough about these guys. They're both fantastic fighters. They've both, I know Tony's coming over some big losses, in terms of he just hasn't been able to get that win. But let's look who he lost to. When I look at, go ahead and pull up Tony Ferguson's record there.
Man, are you kidding?
The guys he's lost to, he's lost to the who's who.
Yeah, he started off with Justin Gaethje, right? Mm-hmm. That was a loss. Then Charles Oliveira was, I believe, the next loss.
Yep.
Okay. I don't have a screen, so I could definitely.
And then Benil Dariush, and then Michael Chandler, and then Nate Diaz.
Yep. Yes.
The fight against Michael Chandler, as everyone remembers, he ended up winning the first round. He won the first round. He was doing well. He just got clipped in the second round. And then the fight with Nate Diaz. For me, I don't know what it was about that fight. He just didn't
first off, that wasn't his fight. That wasn't his fight. I get it.
That's true. That's true.
They did the big switch and everything, and so things changed and everything. And so I look at that one. This is a fight that I think Tony's up against it again, though. It's not an easy fight for him. Style-wise, Bobby Green is difficult for anybody to fight based upon the way he fights And here's the real fact is Tony can wrestle, Bobby can wrestle. Tony doesn't really wrestle that much anymore, and he wants to stand up and go with you. And he's going to have a hard time going with Bobby Green. Bobby Green is still fast. Tony's not as fast.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony's got a lot of miles on him, especially over these last fights. You know, you've got the Charles Oliveira fight where he got beat up pretty bad. The same thing with the Gaethje fight. Both those fights, he got beat up pretty bad. You know, the Beneil fight, he got beat up kind of, you know, but it wasn't one of those things like it was with the Gaethje and the Charles Oliveira fight.
No, yeah, you got to look at the Gaethje fight near the end of that. When you're talking, you know, into the fourth round, he started taking a ton of damage.
Yeah.
A ton of damage. And so, you know, tough. Never, ever would I ever say anything. I love Tony, you know, been around him too much. You know, I only want the best for him. You won't find anybody mentally tougher. You might find guys just but no one's going to be mentally tougher than Tony. He is a tough son of a bitch who will die before he gives in. You know, and that's just the kind of guy that he is. And, you know, the real question here is, and we talk about it, goddamn, almost every show, Josh, speed kills. And when you're the slower fighter here, and it's going to end up being a fight where you probably cannot put it in a position where that doesn't become an element, it's tough. It's a tough road.
I think, though, what makes this fight interesting to me is that both of them are older, but they also, too, is Bobby Green has more of the roller style, you know, defense when it comes to his boxing. But Tony has a problem a little bit with the kicking, and Bobby doesn't really kick a whole lot. You know, on top of that, Tony's still, believe it or not, he still has a great chin. I mean, look at the fights he lost. He took a lot of damage. He still has a great chin. The Chandler thing, anyone would get knocked out by that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're gonna knock out a horse with that one.
Yeah. And so when I look at this fight, like I don't think Tony's going to spend a lot of time trying to get the takedown. He's not that kind of guy. On top of that, though, too, Bobby's got pretty good wrestling. It's not great, but it is good. On the ground, I'm going to give the advantage to Tony. If he starts going back
submission
to that
wise,
submission-wise,
elbows, no doubt,
all of those things. You know, but let's not forget. I think Bobby's last fight was against Drew Dober, right, where he got knocked out. Can you pull up Bobby Green's fight?
No, it was. I believe that was
Jared
his last
Gordon.
loss. He had the one with Gordon where it was a headbutt and ended up in no contest.
That's right. Yeah. So, you know, they went through that, but then, like, you know, but he lost to Islam, you know, which he took on what week's notice, something like that. I don't count that one also. And then I look at Drew Dober, you know, he was winning that fight, just got clipped in one of the exchanges in the second round, but he was fighting beautifully. I mean, one thing with him, I feel like he's aged very well in terms of how he gets the job done. You know, coming off the win over Nasrat, Hasparat, how do you say his name? Hasparat, yeah. And then he beat Ali Quinta before that. But I mean, like, you know, for a while there, he was pretty damn busy fighting everyone, man. His fight with Rafael Vaziv, man, that was a great fight. A fantastic fight.
And he won the third round.
Yes, he did.
Maybe not on one judge's scorecard, as I recall, but yes, he won that third round.
I mean, he's the guy that, like, he'll string three together, and then he'll lose one or two, and then he'll string two or three together, and then he'll lose one, and then, you know what I mean? So he's a fantastic fighter, and I can't say enough about both of these guys. Look, I know I have lost to both of them, but I got nothing but mad respect for both of them. They'll fight anybody, anytime, the who's who. You know, I was actually supposed to fight Michael Johnson instead of Bobby Green. Bobby Green took the fight on 2 weeks' notice, you know, because Michael Johnson pulled out. And so I look at these guys. These guys will fight anybody, anytime. And it's so funny. The story behind that is he had literally called Daniel Cormier like 2 weeks before and said, "Hey, do you mind if I come down and train at AKA?" And he's like, "Hey, let me ask Josh Thompson." And I told him, I said, "Yeah." I said, "Tell him, go ahead, come on down." And then, like, less than probably 7-8 days later, they said he's like, "Hey, he took the fight against you." So he won't be coming. I'm like, that son of a bitch. So, but I got nothing but respect for both those guys. I'm one of those guys. And John, you know this, is I'm one of those guys. I don't have any ill will towards any of the guys I fought. I mean, I had a little bit of towards Clay for a long time, but Clay and I hashed it all out just recently in San Jose, and he's a great guy. And I always knew he was a great guy. But I had to see it for myself kind of thing. So, sorry. But no, fantastic fighter. Fantastic. Both of these guys are. I'm looking forward to it and seeing this fight.
Yeah. This is a matchup where you can take a look at both guys are in that position, both getting a little bit older in the division and everything. But Tony needs a win.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can get one.
Then you got Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland.
That's a hell of a matchup, I think. That's a hell of a matchup. And there is the elements that I look at. On the ground, both of them are really good. I give the edge to Chiesa.
Yes.
Michael Chiesa on the ground has got some great ground skills, beautiful body positioning, great base, and just the ability to know how to press someone to make them move in the direction he wants them to go. But in the stand-up,
oh yeah,
I gotta give it to Kevin Holland by far. I think Holland's got speed on him. I think he actually got some length on him too. But, Kevin Holland can stand up and fight when he wants. And it's just as long as he's focused and not screwing around. Now, I'm okay with him having fun. I think that's good, and I think it relaxes him and makes him be able to fight well. But you got to at least be focused on the fighting, not on someone in the crowd or talking to somebody. Yeah,
the best performances for most fighters I see it when they're having fun out there. When they are enjoying the moment is when they're the most relaxed. They're not expending energy when they shouldn't be. They're not tense, which makes you even more fatigued and tired. I think Kevin Holland is a fantastic fighter. If he fights smart, I think this is his fight to lose. Because on the ground, the length of his jiu-jitsu, the way he's so tall and long and lanky, will give Michael Chiesa some issues at first. I think Chiesa is the better grappler. But does Chiesa have the wrestling to get Kevin Holland down? Doesn't take much to get Kevin Holland down these days. But on the feet, though, when the strikes are coming, Chiesa's wrestling is not the same as it is when someone gives him the open shot and the takedown. But I'll look at this fight, and I think Kevin Holland's going to be good and dangerous off the back. The big hands, gripping the wrist control, controlling, elbowing, using whatever, how he did against Jacare with a little backhand. Expect things like that to come from the bottom from Kevin Holland. Mm-hmm. But if Kevin Holland is the smart fighter in this situation, John, he needs to focus on getting back to his feet. Not hanging out on the bottom, not hanging out trying to get past or trying to sweep or trying to get the submissions. Threaten him a little bit, but it's that whole sit up, sweep, submit, or submit, sweep, get up. If you can't do any of those in a row, then just get the guy off you and get back to your feet. So I think with his length, I'm surprised he's not able just to kick people off more often because of the reach and of his legs. But I think this makes for an interesting fight because if Chiesa doesn't get this fight to the ground, he's going to have a little bit of a problem with Kevin Holland on the feet. Yeah,
Kevin Holland's proven on the feet he can be very good. Sometimes gets a little out there as far as overextending and things like that, but he can be good.
Yeah. Now my next fight is I'm actually kind of excited to see him because his brother just fought recently and lost was Gabriel Bonfim, and then you've got Bonfim, and then Trevin Giles. Good fight, good matchup. Giles. But Bonfim's 14-0. I believe his brother was undefeated also and just lost his O. But this makes for a fun fight, man, because the Gabriel's the one that's a little bit more, I wouldn't say they're both pretty damn exciting. But both fantastic fighters. I think you're going to end up seeing the two of these kind of just get after it on the feet and let it all hang out, man.
Yeah, Trevin Giles, he's a good fighter. He's solid. But there's times when I watch him and it seems like his focus in the fight kind of goes away and you can see him starting to lose it. Mm-hmm. He can't do that with Bonfim. Bonfim is athletic. He's very talented. His stand-up is good. His ground game is good. So Giles is going to have to be on point to get a win against Bonfim.
And then you've got Derek Lewis versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can think about is someone's going to sleep. Someone's going to sleep.
Someone's going to sleep. That's it.
Yeah, it's good. To me, that's the only thing I can really think about with that fight. Like, Derek Lewis had a great run for a while, was having success, but he's hit a rock right now, and he's been kind of stumped lately. Hasn't been able to click on Derek Lewis. When was the last time that he won a fight? He's lost a couple in a row.
This one's pretty simple though, because look at De Lima.
3 in a row.
De Lima should work at getting Derek Lewis to the ground and being in the top position. He does. He's going to get a win. If Derek Lewis gets on top of De Lima, Derek Lewis is going to get a win. So then you take a look at the stand-up. They both kind of swing wild. They both have their little burst. But I really look at this as going to end up, someone's going to end up going to the ground. And whoever that person is, and they're on the bottom, they're the one that's going to be your loser in the fight.
I could see that. All right, next fight. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to go through this real quick. John is there. I'll read them off to you because I know you don't have your page up today.
I don't have anything.
But you've got Roman Kopylov versus Claudio Ribeiro. You've got Jake Matthews versus Darius Flowers. CJ Vergara versus Vinicius Salvador. You've got Matthew Summonsberger versus Aros Medic. I don't know how you say his name. Medic. And then you got Miranda Maverick versus Priscilla. How do you say her last name?
Capoeira.
No, it's Cochera. Remember the one with the eye gouging? The girl
I know.
trying to eye
I know
gouge.
which one, yep.
Yeah, and then Miranda Maverick. She's coming off her loss. She just fought like a month ago. I want to say, and she's coming off that loss.
She had the loss to Jasmine.
Yes. How do you say that girl's last name? Javicius? Javicius?
Javicius.
Javicius. Yeah.
Beautiful,
man.
Beautiful Canadian
I read
name.
Your comments. You guys butcher us.
Beautiful Canadian name. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up our UFC. I believe this is UFC 291. And we're going to head into Bellator. Bellator happens this weekend in Japan. There's only 5 fights on the Bellator card. And Patricky Pitbull is fighting AJ McKee.
No, he's not.
Was it announced?
It was not. Not that I saw.
This won't drop till tomorrow.
Exactly. And I'm just going to put it out. I don't care now.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Patricky Vera is fighting Roberto.
What were we told? What were we told?
What were we told? That it was coming out
today. We were told that it was coming out today.
All right. Well.
So am I supposed to lie about this now?
No. Patricky Pitbull is fighting. There has been a change of opponent. AJ McKee is
Satoshi.
Satoshi. AJ McKee is out with an injury and undisclosed injury. I don't know. I don't know if I call it an injury, but it's a little bit of a
medical issue.
Health issue, and nothing. It's nothing super bad as in hopes, but I think they caught it early enough that everything is fine. So, but Pitbull will be fighting Roberto De Jesus.
De Sousa.
De Sousa should be a good fight, man. If you guys don't know, Roberto Satoshi is fantastic on the ground. And everyone's like, I know you guys are probably thinking to yourself, well, you guys already had Tofik Mosaev on the card. And then you also have Patricky Pitbull, who's fought him before. And Tofik was in the tournament. Yeah, he fought him in Rizin. He fought him in Rizin for their Rizin lightweight tournament. But then when you take a look, and from what John, you'll speak more on this, is the lightweight tournament or the tournaments themselves. If you lose a fight in a tournament as a TKO or a submission, you're not allowed to come back into the tournament, correct?
KO, TKO, submission, you will not be allowed to come back into that. If you lose by decision, there's a possibility if there is a spot that opens up, they can use you as a replacement, as an alternate for that fight. But if you lose by KO, TKO, or submission, you will not be asked back. And that's why Tofik Mosaev, who lost to Alexander Shabley by TKO, that was it. He broke his ribs, and so he could not be put back into it. But I'm being honest when I say I think that Satoshi is the better fight. I think it's the tougher fight. I mean, Pitbull and Mosaev, they match up well because they're both big strikers. They both like to be in the stand-up. Roberto De Sousa he's changed, living in Japan and being the guy who, has been fighting for Rizin. He's really changed his style. Came in, we all know how good he is in jiu-jitsu. Okay, we're talking about a world champion. We're talking about a guy that competes in, ADC and the absolutes, going against, guys like Gordon Ryan and stuff like that. He's a phenom when it comes to jiu-jitsu. You take a look at some of his wins. He's got a win against Tofik Mosaev, who Patricky Pitbull lost to. And he submitted Mosaev, I want to say, look, it was somewhere in about a minute and a half.
Minute 30, man.
It wasn't a lot.
Around there.
It wasn't a lot. It was beautiful, triangle, snapped it on. He's got that ability to do that to anyone. And when you're looking at Pitbull, look, Pitbull's got power. Pitbull is getting up in age where he's not the same guy as far as he likes to control the fight more. He likes to have spurts. He doesn't come after you with that same, just the intensity of the past. Look, the thing about Satoshi is the guy has got incredible jiu-jitsu, but he's got power in his hands too, and he's gotten better and better and better with that stand-up game where he explodes and he's hurting people. He's dropped quite a few guys now with the power. He went the 3 rounds with AJ McKee in that Rizin versus Bellator New Year's Eve thing. He lost it, but he had his moments, and he had his moments where he almost had AJ in trouble. So looking at this fight, I think that Roberto de Souza is a tougher matchup overall in 5 rounds of fighting with Patricky Pitbull. Now, the real question is, he's got a school in Japan. He's always training, but he is taking this last minute. And so what kind of shape is he in?
Yeah, we're going to find out once the bell rings and they get after it. So, but I like the fact that he's the Rizin champion and that they're putting in the Rizin champion to have a potential of winning the Bellator World Grand Prix belt. Yeah. And obviously whoever the champ is in this tournament, Usman or Magomedov. And so if he gets to the finals, he will be fighting for the actual title along with the World Grand Prix title belt. So you get your 2 belts. If he can get this win, and $1 million, that'd be something huge. So I'm looking forward to it. I really wanted to see the AJ McKee and Patricky Pitbull fight, but I get it, man. You got to take care of your health first, and AJ will be back. Yep. He will move to being the #1 alternate. So if somebody else does fall off, AJ will slide in. That's already been talked about and confirmed. Yeah,
which is great, but I just don't see anyone sliding out of this thing once it goes. It's like normally it's first round. Every now and then you'll get a semi, finals, but when guys get to that point, they're sniffing that $1 million. They do a lot to make that fight.
Yep. All right, next fight will be the inaugural featherweight title that is on the line right now against Kyoji Horiguchi. Huh?
Flyweight.
What did I say? I said lightweight?
Featherweight.
Oh, featherweight. Oh, sorry, my bad. Flyweight. Yeah. Horiguchi versus Takahashi. This is going to be a good fight, John. People, I think, are overlooking Takahashi a little bit because Horiguchi's got such a big name.
You kept on saying Takahashi.
Yeah, that's what it has listed on here. That's why I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, his name is Makoto Shinru.
Isn't it?
That's what he goes by.
What? I gotcha, but they have it listed as Takahashi, and I remember it was Shinru when we were talking on the.
Shinru is his nickname.
Yeah,
that's what he goes by. He doesn't go by Takahashi though. That's why I'm saying it.
Is it Shinru or Shinyu or Shinru? The Y is silent, correct?
Yeah, Shinyu.
Okay. Shinyu? I thought the Y was silent and the R was Shinru. Okay, so it's you.
Shinyu. Don't, the R is silent. Shinyu.
Okay.
Makoto Shinyu.
Okay.
But
look, both these guys are good on the feet. Both of them are fantastic. Horiguchi's going to be, I think, a little bit of the faster fighter and the ability to move on the outside and get in and get out. I think he possesses more power. But Makoto's got good stand-up. He's good all the way around. But they're going to both look, I think, to keep this thing on the feet. I think Horiguchi will mix in some of the wrestling to threaten it a little bit, but I think that's kind of what you're going to see. This is a 5-round fight, though, because it is a title fight. So it's a double co-main event. I'm looking forward to this fight a lot.
Yeah, the real difference is you're talking about power. You're right. Horiguchi's got power where I don't think that Makoto has got that same level of power. I think Makoto, when it gets to the ground, does a great job with his ground and pound, hits big elbows, does beautiful work down there. And I think he has to get this to the ground. I think he has to get Horiguchi on his back so he can do some damage to slow Horiguchi down a little bit and continue that evolution of every round. Make him work, put him on his back if you can. Do those things that you do so well because he does throw good shots and big-time elbows with his ground and pound. And he's got a good submission game. So I don't think he can submit Horiguchi. But, man, I'll tell you what, if he gets to the top position, he's got beautiful balance. He moves very well. He transitions beautifully, so he's a handful. I think Horiguchi's experience is the big difference here. Horiguchi has fought better fighters overall throughout his career where Makoto now is facing the best fighter he's ever fought.
That's true. That's true. Like you said, Horiguchi's fought the who's who in this division in terms of the flyweight division, and he's also gone up to the 135-pound division and fought those guys as well that are the top in the game. Then you got Kana Watanabe versus Vida Ortega. What do you think?
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. You got Kana Watanabe versus Vida Ortega.
Yeah, dude, Kana Watanabe in Japan is a big time thing, and she's a phenomenal judo player. I think they're giving her a person in Vida that is just, I don't know how to say it the right way, just dog tough. Vida Ortega has proven she is just a warrior, someone that goes out and will not stop, will not give in. And so if Kana Watanabe, in my opinion, doesn't get this fight to the ground, this fight is going to start to slip away from her. I think that Ortega is such a just I don't know how to say it in the right way, but such a savage as far as does not get deterred. She gets hit with shots and she keeps coming forward. We saw in her last fight where she lost to Sumika Inaba. You saw Inaba being just a sniper, a technician, and with her stand-up. Watanabe is not that same type of fighter. Watanabe's better on the ground, and she's great with her ground and pound there, and her submissions are good, but she's not the sniper in the stand-up like Inaba is. And in the fact that Ortega will walk through a lot of the shots that an average stand-up fighter will throw, I just look at it, Kana Watanabe in front of her hometown crowd needs to get Ortega to the ground.
Yeah, Vida, she's like you said, she's aggressive. She comes forward. She'll take a shot, give a shot. The thing with her is that she tends to smother herself when she lands something and she blitz you. That puts you right into the grips of Kana Watanabe, which is going to make it easier for Watanabe to actually throw her, hip toss her, foot sweeper, all of those things. And the slickness of Kana Watanabe when it comes to her judo is pretty damn impressive. So, I'm looking for this fight. It will hit the ground. And when it hits the ground, can Vida survive the submission attempts? Because Watanabe is good on the ground. Good submission attacks, good triangles, good arm bars, good kimuras. She works from all angles. She's somebody on top who is definitely difficult to deal with. Vida, she's good. She's got good wrestling. Decent. It's not great, but it's good enough to kind of stuff some of the normal takedown ability. But Watanabe's not going to hit you with the normal takedowns. She's going to hit you with the foot sweeps, the inside trips, the hip tosses, and I know there's all the other names for them, the Japanese names for judo for them, but I don't know those. So I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend like I do. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be a good fight as well. But the fight that I'm most looking forward to on this whole card, I'm not trying to take anything away from any other fighters, but is the Magomedov versus Danny Sabatello. That fight right now has got me excited. I love it.
Sabatello Mafia coming your way in Tokyo, Japan. You gotta love Danny Sabatello. Danny Sabatello brings fun to the fight game. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people are upset with him with flipping people off and stuff. He doesn't give a shit, and neither do I, because I think he is a blast to watch. But this is a fight where you look and a lot of people are gonna say that Magomedov got outstanding wrestling. He's had those moments where, he's used his wrestling and his ground game, and he does have a very good ground game. He's the better submission fighter if you're looking at it. I think he's the better stand-up fighter. He's got great spinning attacks. He's very much, comes from the same school as Zabit Magomedov-Sharapov. He's got the same type of spinning attacks, same type of, attacks that you see from those brothers. But Danny Sabatello, if there's one thing about him, he is tenacious. He does not give in to, you stopped the one takedown. Well, here's another. Well, here's another. Well, here comes another. And, here, I want another. How about another? Let me give you one more. Here's another. And that's what makes him difficult. He does not get, he doesn't, lose any of that swagger. He doesn't sit there and get, to the point where he gets down on himself because it didn't happen. He just keeps coming back with more.
Well, we talked to his coach, Mike Brown, and Mike Brown's like, look, this guy, outside of maybe Colby Covington, and I say he's right there with them in terms of his tenaciousness when the takedowns, the wrestling, the conditioning, the cardio, inside the gym. He just is the guy that just keeps pounding on people. No matter what, I'm going to get that takedown. I'm going to chain wrestle you to death. I hit the single, can't get the single, go to the double, come back up onto the single, and then I'm going to basically just try to shuck you by, get to your back, hang on your head, put the chain wrestling together to make you just feel exhausted as the fight goes on. But the one thing with Magomedov, man, is that he's got great cardio, he's got good conditioning, he trains with a lot of top level guys. He's seen anything that Danny Sabatel is going to bring. When it comes to the wrestling, I don't think he's too concerned. He's like, go ahead, you can shoot on me. I don't care if you take me down. He's got good wrestling. He's got good hood sweeps. He's got a really good ability of getting back to his feet. He's good on the neck. I think that's where I kind of separate the two. Is the submission game is the most. Is that sure he might be able to continue to take down Magomedov, but Magomedov is going to be able to threaten the guillotines, the darces, all of those things.
Much more dangerous with the submission game.
Yeah, he's got the lanky body style that allows him to set up certain things, just Peruvian necktie style stuff, the darce and the guillotines, all of those things. You can probably look for him to start trying to get set up on Danny Sabatel as Danny starts to wrestle. Danny's really good at shooting the double and turning the corner, so he's not leaving his neck on the outside too long. He's fantastic at that, and the way he covers distance, when you guys watch him fight, the way he covers distance on his takedowns, he'll shoot from 6 feet away. I wouldn't advise that for most fighters, but man, he covers distance and he covers it fast. But this is going to be for a fun fight because Danny Sabatel is going to talk all this shit, and Magomedov's not going to understand a damn word of it. So the best part, and then he's going to talk all this shit after the fight if he does win. And guess what? The crowd's not going to understand stuff. The crowd's not going to understand a damn thing of it. Yeah. So it's going to be for a fun fight. And then the next fight, though, is Lorenz Larkin versus Andrei Korshkov. I look at Korshkov being dynamic on the feet, fantastic. Larkin's like a sniper, fast, slick, all of these things. The two of them, fantastic strikers. I'm looking for this fight to hopefully stay on the feet. But look, we saw when Korshkov fought Douglas Lima. He was shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. He did it well for about 4 rounds, getting the takedown after takedown after takedown. Then he got tired. He's got the wrestling to take Larkin down. The easy way for him to win this fight is going to be getting the takedown. But Larkin's footwork and his movement, Douglas Lima will stand in front of you and try to hit you with the big shot. Larkin doesn't do that. Larkin will be on the outside, dancing and moving and landing the strikes. You get in close in the clinch, he'll let the elbows go, as we saw in his last fight. Then he'll make space and try to finish you off with a kick. He'll do anything to keep you from taking him down. And when he does hit the ground, he never settles in, John. He's the guy that his butt hits and he bounces right back up, tries to get back to his feet.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But, let's go back to their first fight because these guys have fought before. And it was Korshkov was using the same game plan that he had against Douglas Lima. And let me take him down, let me take him down, let me take him down. And that's when he got hurt. And that's when Larkin really started putting it on him because he's not easy to take down. And he comes back at you with strikes and he comes back at you to hurt you. Korshkov's going to have to take a look and say, yeah, I might want to use my wrestling, but I have to use it in a systematic fashion, timing my shots at the right time because I can't take the big shot from Larkin.
Yep, I agree. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up our Bellator talk, and that's happening now. Remember, the time change, all of these things are going to be available for this, so check out your local showing times. It should be on Bellator.com. Should be also on Showtime's website as well, so check it all out there. I'm not sure. There won't be any prelims. There's only the 5 fights. That's it.
No, 5 fights.
We're not going to take up too much of your time. Also, go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in. onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe to us over there. Look, like I said, I continue to say this, and I think I'm going to continue to say this over. They are building a sports network. They've developed a sports division, and they're really trying to bring out more athletes. So if you guys have connection with any other athletes, tell them to give OnlyFans a call. Look, they're doing well. They want to try to get more athletes on their platform to try to create a new way for athletes to make money. They brought us on. We are the very first podcast that they have ever worked with. I'm actually in talks right now with Paige Van Zandt and Austin Vanderford. It's so funny. They must have heard us talking about him just recently, and they just hit us up going, hey, we're going to be starting a podcast that we want to put on our OnlyFans channel. And they do some funny shit, man. So looking forward. They are hilarious. They're a cute couple, man. When you hang out with them and you get around them, they're great people.
They're great because they don't take anything serious and they just have fun.
Yeah.
That's what
Austin and I
have fun.
One of the last times I saw Austin, we were out hanging out in Mohegan Sun, and we hit the tables for a bit, and we both came up pretty well. We think we came up about $1,000. About $900. For me, it was about $900. I think it was for him a little bit more. I think he came up a little bit more than me. But yeah, we were playing some Texas Hold'em, man. We had a good time. We were making some money, and she was all behind it as long as he wasn't losing.
There you go. Just don't lose any of that.
But it was a great time. But go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe to us over there. We've got about 500 subscribers. We're trying to build that back up. We're trying to build it up, period. But everything is free right now. It's all free. Check up our content over there. I'm going to be posting a lot more on there coming up for this Japan trip. My entry into Japan, when I meet up with Big John, when we walk around, we're touring around. Check us all out. We're going to be in Japan, and I'm going to be posting some of that. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some fun. So I don't know if they have line bikes over there. We're going to find out.
Oh.
All right, but what else you got for us, Dave? You got some news, right? We'll touch on a couple topics.
We're going into 2 stories here. Our first one is Ben Askren posting a screenshot of Dana White texting him to do with the BMF belt, and Ben Askren says he would love that fight back. George then posts a screenshot from the actual fight itself of him punching Askren after the knee and says, "Is this guy still alive?" ? But it sounds like Askren's serious. He would come out of retirement. He even posted a picture of himself shredded on Instagram and said he'd come out of retirement for just George.
Shredded?
Hold it.
Let me see this picture.
Okay,
Let me see this picture you speak of.
I can't
shredded.
see anything, so I'm going to go with you, Josh. I've known Ben Askren for a long time.
Never shredded.
Never shredded.
Let's see.
Let me see this picture. Let me
it's
see
close
this
to
picture.
shredded as you can get for Ben Askren.
Really?
Pretty good, eh?
That's not too shabby there, buddy. There you go, John. Let me show you this picture.
Let's see
whoops, that's me. There you go. That's not bad for Ben.
No, for Ben, that's good shape.
Yeah.
That's good. Ben's looking good.
Go. Well, I mean,
the hip is doing well.
Well, Ben, I mean, look, Gamebred's got his own promotion. He's throwing some fights.
Stop.
No.
God damn it.
John, I want to see this fight. John, do it.
Jesus
do it, John.
Christ.
Let him fight,
No.
John. Let him fight.
No. God, no. God, no. First off, I heard it was I heard he was even saying, "I'll box you."
Oh, no. Please don't do that.
Yes.
I thought we were talking an MMA fight. Okay, if you're
No,
an
no,
MMA
no,
fight, then I'm all for it. But
No, I'll box you. It's like, what? Stop.
that is not. Like, Ben would be target practice.
Oh, yes.
Target practice.
Look, if they were
know
going to
what
do an MMA fight,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay to see that again. You know, look at Ben Askren was a really good fighter for MMA as far as he utilized his style. He didn't try to be something he wasn't. And man, he was undefeated for a long time, and he fought some good fighters. You know, towards the tail end of his career, he had a lot of injuries, and he wasn't quite the same guy, and that's what happens when you're not quite the same guy. But you know, you take a look and you go, from what I'm hearing is, they're talking about doing it as a boxing match.
No.
God, no.
No.
Please, no.
Please. Please, no. I won't even think about it. Like, if you said boxing with me, I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm not gonna even tune in. Send me the screenshot after it's over, which is like 35, maybe a minute in, maybe a minute and a half in. Let me know when it's over. All right, what else? What other news you got?
All right, let's look at this last one here. Pat Miletich is booked for a comeback fight against
he
Mike
is.
Jackson. Did you hear about this one?
57-year-old Pat Miletich, you crazy fuck. But who is he fighting? Who's he fighting, Josh?
Some guy named Mike Jackson, the guy that Jake Shields punked inside the
Exactly.
Extreme Couture.
Yeah.
Man, what is going on?
It's all tied in with that stuff. It's all tied in with that.
I mean, all you have to do is just think that. Look who Pat Militich is and all the history.
And
of
let's
Pat
take a look
Militich.
at who Mike Jackson is as a
Exactly.
fighter. Stop.
Yeah, Pat Militich is gonna. I think he's gonna take him down beat the shit out of him.
That's all he's got to do. Yep.
Yeah.
Look at it. Even at 57, look, Mike Jackson was never a good wrestler. He was a guy that kind of boxed a little bit, and he's going to get taken down by a 57-year-old man and fucked up. And I just want to say, thank you, Pat. I appreciate it. He needs it.
Tell me how you really feel, John.
You don't sit there and call people Nazis.
Oh, I know.
Okay, that's a childish person. That, you know what? Grow up.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on this point. Yeah. All right. What else you got for us? That's it. Wait. You know what? Look, can you pull up? Nah, we'll do it another time.
Pull it up.
We had a
pull it up.
You know what? We didn't talk about the Juan Archuleta fight, and he's the main event.
We didn't talk about.
We didn't talk about that. Can you pull that up for us, Dave? He's the main event on the Rizin card. He's a Bellator fighter fighting for the Rizin.
Is he the main event? I think he's the co-main.
Is he the co-main?
I think he's the co-main.
We're not calling that fight. It's going to be the...
That's for Rizin.
Oh, yeah, he's the co-main.
Is he co-main?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, he's the co-main, yeah. Asakura, huh? Fighting Karamov.
Yep.
Should be a good fight. But then you got Juan Archuleta. I didn't want to murder this guy's last name. Ogi Kubo.
Ogi Kubo.
John, you know what I've learned, John? That you just say names fast.
I don't know a goddamn thing.
You don't know.
I actually, Ogi Kubo just fought Horiguchi.
Yes.
In Japan on New Year's Eve, so I had to know his name.
Gotcha.
So it's easier when there's someone that I actually had to work with. Okay, it's Ogi Kubo.
Yeah,
I knew who he is. He's good. He's a tough dude. I want to say that he's fought Horiguchi 3 times now.
3 times, yeah.
Yeah. And he's tough, but man, he takes some big shots and he just keeps on coming back, man. It's gonna be a tough fight for him against Archuleta.
I got to be honest, man. Juan is somebody that he's got the cardio, he's got the endurance, but the last time he fought in Japan, he came in trying to be a showman, and that dump happened. He just didn't have the performance that. Not the last time. Sorry, yeah, it was the last time that he thought he was going to have. It was the last time. Yeah, he just didn't have the performance that he thought he should have had. Which we've seen him fight a lot better. But that travel, that being there in Japan, it's a lot. I've fought there a couple times, and it's a lot. There's the time change, going back instead of going forward a whole day, pretty much. And there's a lot going on. Forrest Griffin he talked about it quite a bit, talking about how he cuts a lot of weight and he just didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave Vegas. He only wanted to fight in Vegas. They offered him fights in different areas. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to fight only in Vegas. So every time they had a fight in Vegas, he took it. Man, he'd love it at the Apex.
Yeah, he would.
Forrest Griffin.
He'd eat it up.
He came to AK a couple times to train, and one time, man, I remember some guys, like the coaches on the outside, were trying to give him tips as he was sparring, and he literally turned to them in the middle of the fucking sparring. He says, "We just shut the fuck up. I'm trying to fucking spar here." He was that guy. I never heard someone talk to a coach that way.
I used to tell people all the time, look, Forrest Griffin is not who you think. He is not some fucking hillbilly fucking hick who is, coming in from Georgia and all stupid. First off, he's very intelligent.
Very intelligent.
And he will fucking tell you off in a heartbeat. I'll tell you, this is the way it's going to fucking be.
Yeah.
He does not play. He is not Mr. Everyone thinks he's all shucks. No, he's not.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
No.
And the other part of him, man, he still has the first fucking nickel he ever fucking made in fighting. He is smart with his money.
Well, John, I don't know if you guys know the story, but those of you guys that are listening to us, he won that Scion, right? That little tiny Scion from the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh yeah,
he drove
the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, he drove that shit around. I think until it finally just kaputted on him.
It died.
Yeah, he drove it around. He's like, I don't give a fuck. He never had a nice car. He's like, I finally had to go get another car. I want to say it was probably just about 7 years ago. I mean, when did that show come on? He drove that shit for about 13 years or some crap. That's crazy to me. That's just insane to me. He drove.
Well, the other part is you look at him, he's still working for the UFC. You know why?
Well, he's catching the guys that are falling down on slap. So
yeah, no, I'm not even going with that. Look at the one, there was a couple of people who were, Chuck Liddell and Matt Hughes kind of had jobs that they really weren't working.
Yeah.
Well, Dana kind of set that up for Forrest showed up to work. Forrest says, no, I want to work.
Yeah.
And he was there at the offices saying, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? And, he's made himself a commodity there, outside of fighting as a helpful coach, as a guy who runs their, that whole gym. That's Forrest Griffin running it. Does a great job.
No, he's fantastic, man. He's a great guy, but it was just funny because he comes in, like you said, I just thought he was the happy-go-lucky, this and that, and then he came in, I was watching. He was happy-go-lucky when he walked in the gym. He looked tired because, he had a couple good sessions earlier in the day, but he came in to spar, and I just remember guys were coaching on the side, and, he was Bob Cook and Javier and a couple other side coaches, and they're like, move your head offline, do this, and he finally stopped in the middle of the sparring and just looked over and goes, hey, I would if you'd all just shut the fuck up. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's a side of you I hadn't seen. And it wasn't like he was getting smoked in sparring. He was doing good. But everybody was chirping. It was because, when you have someone new in the gym, and, and at the time he was managed, I think, by Bob Cook. You had someone new in the gym, and just everyone felt like they had to say something, and he just got, nah, just shut up. And I was, oh shit. But it was great. It was great, man. It was great having him in. All right, well, hey guys, this is going to wrap up our show. Thank you for joining us, and we want to thank you guys so much. And John just happened to drop off right at the right moment, right before we send it off to John to say see ya. So guess what I'm going to say is thank you guys so much, and we will see ya. When we get back from Japan next week, our show will drop late because we don't land back here until Monday. So we're going to have probably a double show on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll probably even do a live show to kind of make up to you guys and do a lecture content for you guys next week. I want to thank you guys, and we will see ya.